Hey, my YouTube family. Before we get started, let's address the elephant in the room. It's time, right now. So, while we're discussing the things that we are about to go into, understand that I'm about to be taking these braids out. So, don't judge me. Just listen, take heed, and we're in a judgment free zone, right? It's time for Natasha to tell her story. I know it's a season where we have high school graduates, graduating and they're off to announce their next school soon. College decision day is upon us, as well as, parents are preparing to drop their children off. Yeah, tap in if this is you, especially if this is the first time that your son or daughter will be away from home or away from you for long periods of time. And this is just, a different situation. And if you're struggling through this process, this conversation for you. If you are a parent of an athlete, this conversation is for you. If you just don't know what to expect when you get prepared to drop your child off for school, this conversation is definitely for you.
Don't play with it, don't be dishonest. Ay, still not understanding.
So let's get right into it. You guys, I'm not going to necessarily name my child's school, but it's not hard to find. All you have to do is scroll back through my social media, and the school in which she attended in the past is, it's listed. So while I am not hiding it, I will also um, respect the school in the way where I won't bring up their name. Okay. Um, Layla, for many years, couple years, not many, 2 years, she has not necessarily told her story and not necessarily given me the full okay until now, to discuss all the things that have transpired. So I've remained quiet, and just expressed that Layla decided to move forward. That opportunity didn't pin out and work out for her. So she pivoted, and that's what we kept it as. Well, I will say that everything happens for a reason. I am thankful that my daughter recognized and realized that the school wasn't for her and didn't allow the situations to break her when it could have. Just this week, we received notification that someone's baby took their life at this same school. And while I am not blaming the educators, it made me thankful that I saw my child, I heard my child, and instead of being so focused on what her plan was, we listened to her and we did not judge her, and we fully supported the change. It's hard, guys, as parents to not motivate and encourage our kids to push through, and but recognize when something isn't right. And so instead of motivating and encouraging them to push through their triumphs, and there's rainbows and unicorns on the other side, sometimes a change is necessary and needed for the mental health and well-being of our children. So we really have to pause and take a look at the overall situation and the condition, the mental state of our children, and make choices wisely on how we motivate, how we encourage, and how we support them. I know oftentimes when our children, they set the bar high, and I want to be this and I want to do this. And great, it does sound good. My daughter, prior to going away to college, was a 3.8 student. 3.8 at a very rigorous high school. That 3.8 also translated to a 28 on the ACT. So it wasn't that 3.8 was definitely on par for where she was academically from a standardized test perspective. So those two numbers matched. It wasn't like we were dealing with a 4.5 student with a 16 ACT. And listen, I'm not judging because some kids just don't test well. Hell, some adults just don't test well. So I'm not judging. All I am trying to do is paint the picture that her GPA and her standardized test skills were on par for one another. Now, I preface this by saying when our children choose schools, we must make sure that we're not just following the money. Parents, that's hard to hear. That's hard to hear. Hard to hear when you have free offers upon you. It's really, really hard to accept. Why would we pass up on this free money? Listen, sometimes free is not free. Free costs you your mental. Free costs you your potential life dreams. Free can cost you a lot. You must make sure that when you are encouraging your babies to choose their universities, that you are basing it on what's good for them, not just the dollar. Because at the end of the day, the dollar may lead your baby into a world of destruction. You really need to take a look at the students at the school. Take a look at the climate. I just came to realize that the school that my daughter chose was the number one school for most unhappy students. Free wasn't free. Free wasn't free. And while I'm not basing it on solely on the school, you guys, listen, I knew better. When my daughter, as a freshman, was given 18 credit hours. Mind you, she went to this school with, I want to say, 27 college credit hours starting the school. So her freshman year, her first semester, she wasn't given some of those standard, warm and fuzzy courses. She was given physics, chemistry, college calculus, not pre-calc, college calculus, biochem or bio lab, chem lab, and English. She had 18 credit hours, plus she was an athlete. Let me also say that when you are choosing your baby's next steps for their sport, take a look at the climate of the athletes that coach is coaching. Don't necessarily just fall for who they present themselves to be. If you have to reach out to the current, athletes on the social media, or as a matter of fact, Google on social media, search the team, so search the members, see what they're saying. You all, I had one of her college coaches literally, so mentally, she wasn't necessarily in a good space. She was about 13 hours from home. And my child is not a child that ever traveled without her, her parents or her grandparents or, one of us being present. So being away 13 hours for the first time at 17 years old, the reality is some of our kids are just not ready. So then you tack on that 18 credit hour rigorous schedule, plus the athletic schedule, and it was just too much. It was too much for my child. Probably most of the kids on the team. But then when you have a coach who presents themselves to be one person, but then shows you something totally different, tells you that your relationship with your child, because they talk to you daily, is unhealthy. Who are they to tell you what an unhealthy relationship looks like with your child? Now I get it. Coaches want full bearing, but you should never not encourage a child to lose the connection with their parent. This same coach was a coach who tried their best to tear my daughter apart because she came from love. Tear her apart, had her believing that all the other girls on the team didn't like her, had her believing that she needed to stop talking to her mother every day. What type of coach does this? He gained her trust, and she was, expressing some of her mental anguish and the problems that she was going through with, trying to keep up. Mind you, it's a student that is accustomed to A's and B's. So they've never failed. And that's not necessarily healthy either. Going into a very rigorous university and never having experienced failure. And let me say this, education is something that just came naturally for my child. So it wasn't like she had built great study habits because she was naturally smart. I did not say gifted because there's a difference. I said naturally smart. She didn't have to necessarily put hours in studying to obtain her A's and B's. So when you go to college and you go from high school and you are able to retain some things, but you haven't built study habits, honey, when you get to that school that is very demanding, that thing that you used to do over here, not going to work over here. So let me also say, I am not saying that my child had no fault in this process. That is not what I'm saying. I'm telling you as a parent, know your child. If your child is not studying in high school and getting these grades, trust me, start conditioning that thing. Put them in programs to help them learn how to develop study habits. It's essential for that next level, especially if they're going to a very rigorous university. When you're away 13 hours from home and you are trying to find your way and you have adults who are in leadership that are not good people, has been caught in a many of lies, has tried to tear relationships from athlete to parents up or athlete to athlete. What leader builds animosity in their team? Isn't it to build the culture, to have a high performing, high functioning culture where my athlete sister, my athlete brother, we are a team, we're one? You unify? Instead of unify, you are the reason in creating division, and this person knows who I'm talking to. It's so unfortunate, the situation that we went through, but I am not telling you this to condemn those who have wronged us. I'm telling you this to help you make better decisions and choices for your baby. Yes, it is essential that when our kids go to college, that they come home as adults, but there is a process. In the first couple of months of school, these babies are lost. They're trying to find their way. They're trying to find their community. They're trying to find their friends. They're also trying to explore and have fun. And that having fun doesn't always equate to studying, We got to be honest with ourselves as parents. We have to be very realistic about what our expectations are, and we have to make sure that our children are being set up for success. Should my daughter have been an athlete and in that type of rigorous program 18 credit hours in the beginning first semester of school? No, that wasn't a good idea. That wasn't a good idea. In hindsight, if I could do things over, I would, because there needs to be a semester, especially the first semester, potentially even the first year, where they have a moment to, yes, have a tough class or two. But actually, they need to balance that out with two classes that may not require as much as these two courses. Has to be a balance so that it gives them room to have their mental moment, to have that understanding of what it's like to not be waken up by mama and daddy, what it's like to not be told, oh no, you're going to school today, what it's like to have a decision on, do I want to go to this party or to this club, or do I really need to be staying home for this test? Gives them time to work those kinks out, because guess what, there are going to be some kinks when they first go away and they're away from you and not under your leadership. And yes, is that a part of the growth? Absolutely. But to have a grown adult try to tarnish the relationship that you've built with your child, that's a problem. And when my child goes to this said adult and he then takes all the things that she has expressed to him and talks about it to other team members, that's a problem. So I've built my trust in you, and you take that and you use it against me. You use it for it's for spite, because you want, because she has a good family structure and she may be a little different from what you are accustomed. I don't know. But make sure when you're choosing your baby's team and you're helping them decipher and choose their next phase, make sure that you're paying just as much attention to the leadership that they are going to be under. They need someone who is tough but nurturing. They need someone who holds them accountable but is building unity. This wasn't that. This wasn't that. And don't dangle your leadership over their face. Oh, well, I'm holding your full scholarship. I'm holding all this money. And if you don't do as I say, I can take it away and give it to someone else. That's not a leader, or signs of a good leader anyway. You all, this video is overdue, but it was necessary. My heart goes out to that baby's family, especially her parents. It's not fair. It's not fair. And I don't want to see another child or another family dealing with this type of loss, or dealing with that internal struggle and not having anyone to turn to, or feeling like she had a way out. I stayed up all night bothered, emotionally bothered by this situation, because there are some parents who no longer have their baby. You all, make sure as you are helping your child figure out next steps that you take some extra steps in making sure that it's a good fit all the way around. While money is good, money is not all that matters. It's not all that matters. As a matter of fact, it shouldn't even be on the top. Your baby's mental health, choosing the right school could mean life or death. It's that simple. Choosing the right school, the right environment, the right team could mean life or death. While my baby is no longer at that school, when she said, some of the conversations that we had, and she was broken. She's broken. We put too much into that from a mental space. I love you too much to allow anyone or anything or any school to tear what we spent years building up. And I will be darned if I let the thought of a full ride be the reason I lose my daughter. Come home. My baby's no longer at this prestigious university, but guess what? She's thriving. She's finishing her degree. She's excelling and she's doing it her way on her terms. And guess what? All those mental anguishes and the depression and the low points, we don't see those anymore because she's in an environment where she is given the tools to survive and to thrive. Sometimes it's just about changing the baby's environment. And while they are not, they will all, I don't care how old she gets, whether she's 45, she's 65, as long as I'm here, my kids are always going to be my babies, my adult babies, but they're my babies. And don't you ever let any coach or any other person tear your relationship from your babies apart. Nobody has the authority to do that. Nobody. Choose wisely and make sure, for your baby's sake, for your baby's mental health, that you are not being led by just the dollars, because that almighty dollar can definitely be the root of all evil. I hope there is something that I've said that has resonated with you to help you help your baby. Choose wisely, guys. And if you have any questions, comments, and or concerns, feel free to chime in below. If you're a parent that has gone through something very similar as I'm discussing today, chime in below so that others that are about to go through this process, they can see what a realistic day in the life of a college student, what that looks like. Because guess what? There are going to be some days ahead. And you're going to have to help your baby make some tough decisions. And sometimes it's not about quitting. It's about pivoting. That is just as important as staying strong. Knowing when. And knowing that just because it's not here doesn't mean that it cannot happen. It just may mean I just need to change my location to finish walking through. All right? You guys have a wonderful day. And again, thank you.